Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope you are having a fantastic Thursday wherever across this great land you may be. My name is Clay, and we have a lot of fun on this show. We try to do it every single afternoon, in addition to my radio show from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern every morning, and Lock It In, which is on at 4:30, 3:30, 2:30, and 1:30 from east to west across the country on FS1. But we have got a lot of different events to get to here, and so we're going to dive in. Sam Darnold has mono. LeBron loses Taco Tuesday battle. The Bucs Panthers is going on tonight. What do we expect to see in the Thursday night Week 2 matchup in the NFL to kick off things? Cord cutting has accelerated. Crazy stat for you. We got a positive story. A UT fan in Florida, a fourth grader, they've sold 50,000 tickets, 50,000 T-shirts of a version of a shirt that he made. Antonio Brown, criminal investigation, maybe, maybe not. We'll give you an update on it. Miss Monopoly debuts, and the Democratic debates are tonight. We got a lot of topics to get to. Let's start right off the top. Jets quarterback Sam Darnold is out for Monday Night football game against the Cleveland Browns because he has mono. I don't know if you watched Adam Gase, the head coach of the Jets, announce that Sam Darnold is out with mono, but he looked like an utterly defeated man because in now Sam Darnold's place, the Jets will be starting Trevor Siemian. Now, everybody out there, whoever has had mono, felt compelled to respond to me talking about Sam Darnold having mono. Let me tell you a little story about your boy here. I had mono, and I got it in college. Like an old man with mono in college. I got mono after my sophomore year of college. I got back to college, and I started classes, and I started feeling really bad. I was out, I was playing tennis, and I felt like I was going to die. I was playing tennis against another one of my buddies in college, and I legitimately felt like I was going to die. Like it was like 95 degrees in Washington, D.C., and I really thought I was going to pass out. So I go get tested. Let me just tell you this story off the top. If you have ever been tested, had your blood work done for STDs or any kind of related back in the day, I don't know what they do now. You could probably just everything is like, you don't even get shots anymore. Now they give you like nose sprays and stuff. I don't even know how stuff works anymore. But back in the day, if you were in college, you would go and get tested for like STDs or whatever, right? And they'd have to draw your blood. And then you'd have to sit around for like 3 weeks to find out whether or not you had HIV, right? They'd do the blood work and they'd be like, okay, we're going to test you for HIV. And then it took it took a long ass time. You're like, I'm going to die of AIDS. I'm going to die whatever. So when I had mono, I went in and I was like, man, I feel like I'm going to die, doctor. And he's like, all right, we'll do your blood work and we'll figure out what might be causing this thing that you feel like you're going to die. So they take your blood, then they're going to run it on everything. I don't know. They're going to test you for HIV. They're going to test you for like everything bad. And then I go back in and the doctor's like, all right, you got mono. And I was like, all right, I got mono. I felt like, okay, that's not that bad of a play. I don't want to draw attention to myself or call myself a hero, but I only missed 1 week of class for mono. Only 1 week of actual class for having mono after my sophomore year at the beginning of my junior year. Now, I say at the beginning of my junior year because your boy here graduated from college in 3 years, all right? Don't want to brag or draw attention to myself. But I graduated from college in 3 years. I had mono. I know what mono feels like. It's awful. But I'm actually kind of stunned, one, that Sam Darnold gets mono when he's already an adult with a real job. Two, that this doesn't happen all the time in college now. Seems crazy to me that we never have a college quarterback who's on campus who everybody wants to make out with, that college quarterbacks never get mono. It's almost unheard of. And now Sam Darnold's out. Tough break for Sam Darnold. Big win for the Browns here. The line has moved like 3 points based on Sam Darnold's mono. But I'm stunned. Wouldn't you think, if you're a college football fan, that guys on college football teams would get mono all the time? I don't know what the average number of girls that a guy makes out with while he's in college is. I'm very confident that, for instance, the starting quarterback in college is probably way off the chart. And in general, if you are a college athlete, the amount of makeouts that you would get into would be massive. Maybe they just have such great immune systems because they're in perfect physical condition that they don't get sick at all. But this was bad. And look, there's everybody out there who has ever had mono comes on. I had mono. I remember this. They're like, your spleen's enlarged. You can die if you get hit. Has anyone ever died of mono? Just a question out there. I've never heard of anybody dying of mono. But every single person who has ever had mono feels compelled to let you know that their spleen is enlarged and that if they have bad physical contact, they might die. I'm not kidding about that. Go look at my mentions. I mentioned that Sam Darnold has mono, and increased size of spleen guy immediately dives into my mentions and talks about how somebody might die from having a larger spleen. I mean, I don't know of anybody that's ever died of mono, but that is such an obsession with every single person who's ever had mono. They have to let you know that their spleen is enlarged and they might die if they have bad physical contact. All right, so I gotta say, I only missed a week of class. Don't want to call myself a hero, but I'm kind of a hero. And don't tell everybody about the spleen being enlarged every minute that mono comes up. All right, speaking of failures, I told you guys a couple of weeks ago that there was no way that LeBron James was going to be able to trademark Taco Tuesday because it was such a common phrase that only an idiot would attempt to trademark Taco Tuesday. LeBron James, either because he's an idiot or because his lawyers are willing to take his money, even though it makes no sense at all, attempted to trademark the phrase Taco Tuesday, despite the fact that Taco Tuesday had been trademarked all the way back in 1989. 30 years ago, a company called Taco John's trademarked the idea of Taco Tuesday. LeBron's lawyers, who were all charging him $1,400 or $1,500 an hour, all sat around and said, you know what, we'll go ahead and try to get this trademark too. We'll try to do it for digital and social media so you can be able to profit off of something that everybody already knows about. And not surprisingly, his trademark attempt was rejected. Also recently, the Ohio State University lost an ability to try to trademark the, and Tom Brady lost the ability to trademark Tom Terrific. But at least those are somewhat unique. I don't hear any other universities that make a big deal out of the in front of their school name. And I certainly don't really remember the phrase Tom Terrific being used on a regular basis. I do, however, know that I have heard about Taco Tuesday for my entire life, and I'm not exactly a shrinking violet here. Not like I'm a huge taco guy, but it's everywhere. So LeBron James, who everybody wants to say is brilliant because he's rich, LeBron, look, is rich because he's really good at basketball. I have yet to see a decision somebody point to for LeBron James and maybe like, oh, that's a really smart decision that somebody who also wasn't rich from playing basketball might do. In other words, there's not anything that LeBron has done that has made me think anything other than he is rich, and so he's continued to be rich. He hasn't wasted his money. He hasn't gone Antoine Walker on us. He hasn't gone, that we know of. He hasn't gone Antoine Walker. He hasn't gone Adrian Peterson on us. He's managed to preserve, it appears, the revenue and the assets that he's created. Good for him. But this is a really dumb decision, as it was a dumb decision to try to argue that he had trademarked the idea of talking about sports in a barbershop. Do you remember he sent a cease and desist letter to the University of Alabama saying, oh, no, we're doing a show where we talk about sports in a barbershop. You're not going to be able to do this at all. It's such a stupid argument. Again, lawyers exist to tell their clients, they should anyway, when they're making dumb decisions. Either LeBron has lawyers who don't tell him good advice, or probably more likely, LeBron doesn't listen to his lawyers and does whatever he wants to do. Again, LeBron, idiotic move. He's made himself look like an imbecile with this decision, and I don't know who he's listening to, but whoever he's listening to, he's getting really bad advice. All right, so LeBron got dunked on by the trademark office, and on top of that, by the way, I don't want to hear LeBron stans. If you are a LeBron stan, you are not allowed to comment in my show. All right? For some reason, there's tons of people out there that want to praise LeBron James for doing things that everybody should do. They're like, oh, he's never been arrested. Okay? Oh, he cares about his kids. Okay? Oh, he saves up his money and he plays basketball. Okay? Like, these are all very basic things. We praise oftentimes athletes for doing things that you wouldn't praise your own kids for doing. Like, I wouldn't praise my kid if they were like, hey, I'm living at home with my kids. They're like, yeah, that's your job. You're a dad. You should be living at home with your kids. I wouldn't praise my kids if they were like, hey, how come you never say, good job, I didn't get arrested this year? Because your job is not to get arrested. If you get arrested, you have done something awry, right? It's just a standard of how low our expectations are for athletes that we praise athletes for doing things that normal people also do. Oh, he's a good dad and he's never been arrested. Why do people not like LeBron? Is that really the standard? Well, I'm a good dad and I've never gotten arrested. And people aren't all over Twitter being like, you know who's an incredible dad and has never been arrested? Clay Travis. I get ripped to high heavens for everything that I do. I wish my standard was hasn't been arrested and is a good dad. It's really strange. Really strange the way LeBron stans defend him, despite the fact all he does is play basketball on a really talented level. He's a very good basketball player. As a human, I have no idea anything else about LeBron James. I don't know him. I don't really have any strong opinions, except when I see him do something stupid like this, which is try to trademark Taco Tuesday, which was an abject failure. Bucks-Panthers. Bucks-Panthers tonight. NFL Week 2 action begins tonight, and the Bucks are a 7-point underdog on the road, 6.5 or 7, depending on where you are. 6.5 or 7-point underdog on when it comes to tonight's game. So, I think that the interesting question here is Jameis Winston on his last legs as the starting quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Right now, he has been awful so far this season. 3 interceptions, could have thrown 6 interceptions. 2 of those 3 interceptions were returned for touchdowns. He lost the game for his team against the San Francisco 49ers. Wild stat for you. Jameis Winston has lost the last 12 games he started on the road. Think about how hard that is to do for a minute. The last 12 times Jameis Winston has gone on the road to start a football game, he has lost. I think the debate between Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota is officially over. I don't even hear any Jameis Winston guys out there. Used to be FSU fans that would defend him. Used to be Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans that would defend him. I don't see anybody defending Jameis Winston anymore. I'm not saying that Marcus Mariota is going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm just saying he's not the disaster that Jameis Winston has become. So I like betting this at 6.5. I like taking the Panthers at 6.5 tonight to win. The home team has done phenomenally well outright and against the number on Thursday night, which makes sense because the home team doesn't have to travel. There's not as many different moving parts associated with it. And so I like the Carolina Panthers to cover the 6.5 tonight. Now, we talked about the Bucs decision and what they're going to do with Jameis Winston. Now, they got Bruce Arians, who was supposed to be the quarterback whisperer. It's not working out very well. Cam Newton, similarly, was poised to become one of the faces of the NFL. He was 17-1. He was in great shape going into the Super Bowl. He was the NFL MVP. And then the Denver Broncos and Von Miller beat the crap out of him, and he hasn't been the same quarterback since. So if I'm a Panthers fan, the question that I have is he healthy, and is Cam Newton still the long-range answer for this franchise? He's 30 years old now. A lot of quarterbacks are very good after the age of 30, but has Cam taken so many big hits as a mobile quarterback that his ceiling is not where it used to be? That's one of the things I'll be watching tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there. This is a positive story. Every now and then, people come out and say that I never say positive stories. Oh, everything's negative. So I'm going to share a positive story with you. I don't know how many of you heard about this. There was a 4th grader down in Florida who decided for College Colors Day that he was going to wear a University of Tennessee orange shirt, but he wrote the UT himself on the front of the shirt because he didn't have a Tennessee shirt, and he taped it to his chest, and other kids were making fun of him, and there's not a lot of positive UT stories right now in the fall because the football team is 0-2, and the teacher went on Facebook and she posted about this. The University of Tennessee heard about it. They sent him a huge care package. Somebody also had the idea, hey, let's use the design that he created for his t-shirt as a design for a University of Tennessee t-shirt. We will put it online and we will donate all the proceeds to charity, proving that the University of Tennessee has one of the best fan bases in the entirety of the country. The University of Tennessee immediately sold 50,000 of these shirts, and they now have announced that this kid has a full ride to come to the University of Tennessee. I believe he would be in the class of 2032. So they sold so many of these t-shirts, and they've been able to donate so much money to charity that they are also now offering this kid a full 4-year scholarship to the University of Tennessee so that he's able to come and attend college, all based on this viral story shared by his 4th grade teacher that sort of spread all over the country. There's a lot of negativity that comes from viral stories. There's also some very cool ones that come from it. And so this is a fantastic story. This kid now has got a full college scholarship. They have sold 50,000 plus t-shirts of this kid's University of Tennessee design. A positive story to put out there in what has otherwise been a disappointing start to the fall for the University of Tennessee. Props to Vol fans. Props to everybody else who's not a Vol fan who decided to buy this shirt. And also props to everybody out there in the world of University of Tennessee athletics who made this decision and did something that is very positive and very substantial in terms of a positive story off the field. Really very cool story. If you haven't seen it, you need to go check it out. You can Google it. It's gone viral. It's everywhere. All right, what's the latest on Antonio Brown? Going in the exact opposite direction now that I have shared a positive story with you. What is the latest story that is out there about Antonio Brown? Antonio Brown, we've been asking what's going to happen with the criminal side of this investigation. Will there be one? We now know that Antonio Brown lived in Broward County. That's where his home is. So we have put out a request, Danny G and myself, through the Outkick morning radio show to Broward County to see what is going to happen surrounding this story and whether or not there is going to be any kind of criminal charges brought to bear in this case. In my opinion, if I were advising the woman who filed this lawsuit, I think they should pursue criminal charges if she is arguing that she was raped in a civil complaint. We've asked Broward County to provide us an update as to whether or not there is a police investigation into an alleged rape or not. So far, they have not responded. It's possible they already conducted an investigation. It's possible they cleared him. It's possible they haven't done anything at all. I remain of the opinion that it's most likely that Antonio Brown will be placed on the commissioner's exempt list and will not be traveling to South Florida to play football on Sunday for the Patriots. So that is the breakdown there, and that is where we are headed in that scenario. So that's the latest on Antonio Brown. Did you see this story? This is an utterly absurd story. I saw this and I couldn't believe it. Monopoly has now released a new version of Monopoly the board game. And the new version of Monopoly the board game, and this is wild, will be called Miss Monopoly, MS Monopoly. And women will be paid more money when they pass go than male players will. This is utterly insane. So I want to just stop here for a minute and ask you this. Who are the parents that are going to buy a version of Monopoly that treats their female children different than their male children? I will tell you this right now. I only have 3 boys. But when we play a board game, my kids are willing and able and ready to strangle each other to death to win a Monopoly board game, okay? If you are a parent and you have kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is a danger zone to try to get your kids to sit down and play a board game. Now imagine that you have both a son and a daughter, and you sit down, go buy them the game, and you explain to your son, hey, women are treated unfairly in the world at large, therefore you yourself will be treated unfairly in this game. Every single time your sister passes go, she will get more money than you do. That is not the way to foster equality. That is the way to create anger and fights. And this is such a ridiculous decision. I can't believe that anybody would actually buy this board game. Maybe, if you are a single mother and you only had daughters and you were insanely woke, you might buy this version of Monopoly. But if you have children of both genders, if you have children who live in a house with a father, how come nobody's pointing out that this also requires children to choose their gender? This is incredibly insulting to everyone out there that hasn't decided whether they're a boy or a girl yet. This is completely without logic. This is one of the most ridiculous stories I've seen in a long time. I can't believe that there is actually a market for a game that is created to fundamentally treat children differently based on their gender. If you have a boy and a girl, good luck trying to get them to play this game. And what in the world are you possibly teaching them? Wokeopoly sounds like the worst version of a board game that I've ever heard of. And I've played that game. What's it called? Sorry? What's the Candyland? What's the game that never ends? There's some of these games where you like try to cheat your way as a parent, a board game, to lose because the game just takes so damn long to play. And you're like, is this game never going to end? It's like my same thing with like reading. I like to read to my kid at the end of the night, but I don't want to read like a 50-page book because my voice starts to go. I start to fall asleep. In the same way, every game should have a much shorter version than might be necessary so that you can find a way to lose. Like Candyland can take forever. Chutes and Ladders, some of these games can take forever. And Monopoly can take forever too, especially if you let people go into debt. All right, finally, Democratic debates are tonight. There are 10 candidates on the stage, 10 people qualified for the Democratic debates. Those 10 people, 7 of them have a 0% chance, in my opinion, of being the nominee. The only 3 people right now, as we come toward the middle part of September and begin to move towards the end of the Iowa caucus I think it's the Monday after the Super Bowl. There are only 3 people that can be the Democratic nominee: Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren. Those are the 3. I don't believe anybody else is still in the running. I think Kamala Harris shot her shot. I think she's done. Beto's never risen up. Mayor Pete is essentially done. There are 3 people who can still actually be the nominee. And that is it. And that is all that is actually in the mix to be able to be nominated. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and, in my opinion, Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the best selection the Democrats could pick. I think Bernie's probably the worst. I think Elizabeth Warren's not a good pick. I think Elizabeth Warren will lose to Trump. I think Bernie Sanders will certainly lose to Trump. I think Joe Biden would beat Trump. That is where we are in the larger context. All right. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for hanging out with me. My name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. We will watch the debate tonight. If something crazy happens, I'll come and do a live reaction. Take the Panthers -6.5 tonight. I will see you guys at 3:30 my time, Central Time, 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 on the West Coast with Lock It In. Love all of you. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. My name is Clay Travis, and this has been Outkick the Show. Kisses. See y'all.